All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the first Hardcount Heroes Fantasy Football League show. I'm your host Jarrett, and I'm also with our league members Nick, Bryce, and Cameron today. And first of all, I'd like to address the elephant in the room. Yes, we're late. We didn't start producing content till week 3 due to some structural complications, but we're here and we're here doing it. So we're ready to start. Any of you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Well, I'm Bryce. I'm 1-3 in the league, and I don't know what my problem is. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what's wrong. I have great players, but they're playing like ass. Starting it off hot.
Gotta love it. Nick?
I'm Nick. I am double Gulf Cup, and I'm still undefeated.
Yeah, two ends of the spectrum. And Cameron?
I'm Cameron, and I'm currently 1-2. I'm Judge Judy, and I don't really have much to say. Can only go up from here.
Yeah, right. All right, so if you're checking out this league for the first time, Hardcount Heroes is a 8-man PPR scoring league between our friends. This is also a keeper league, so we have it set to one keeper that will retain for the next season whenever we get into the next draft. And then this is our third year playing with a core group of a few players. We have a couple of new players this year and people who are in their second year. And we're transitioning from Yahoo to Sleeper this year. And so far, I got to say, I do like the change. Sleeper has a lot more stuff to it.
Yeah, I can agree with you there on that one, Jer. I'd say Sleeper has more. It's more complex, but in a good way. I'd say. You know, you can do more stuff with it.
It's definitely more playful.
I like it. It's got a lot more options to it and tools.
It's more I wouldn't say inviting, but it's more it's a lot nicer for people who like to try and like take football a little bit to like the next level. Like
exactly.
It gives you updates about everything. Unlike some of the fantasy apps, they don't give you updates right away.
Yeah. All right. So the 8 teams in the league are as follows. First, we got Double Gulp Cup, owned by Nick, who finished in 7th place last year, and he is currently 3-0. So
this is my year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Then we got Dak to the Future, which is owned by me, Jarrett, who was 1st place last year. Looking to redeem myself. I'm currently 2-1. Then we got 50 Shades of Trey, owned by Dalton, who was 2nd place last year. He is currently 1-2. Then we got Nick's Chubb, owned by Dyson, who was 4th place last year. He's currently 3-0 as well, so he's kicking it. Then we got Jordan's Nut, owned by Greg, who finished 3rd place last year. His current record is 0-3, so he's not off to a hot start. Then we got Judge Judy, owned by Cameron, who was finished 6th place last year, and his current record is 1-2. And then finally, we got Watson Massage Parlor, owned by Bryce. He's a new league member this year, has played fantasy before, so nothing new to him. His current record is 0-3. Oh, wait, and I forgot. Cooper's team, Big Ben's Sexton. Gotta love that. He's also a new league member. Haven't played with him in any fantasy leagues before, and he's currently 2-1, just like
he's a rookie.
So, yeah, he's a rookie. So we're just coming off of week 3. Oh, go ahead, Bryce.
Oh, sorry. I'd just like to point out the rookie's kicking my ass right now. I'm playing like Cameron so far this year.
Yeah. It's not good for bottom of the barrel so far, but you guys got a lot of weeks left, so I mean it's not that big of a deal.
Too early.
Touche. Yeah.
So first game we had was Dak to the Future, me beating Jordan's Nut, Craig, by a score of 153.12 to 118.4. And if we go ahead and look at the matchup here, I just want to say I'm very proud of Lamar Jackson. 40 points, baby.
40.42. Not even fair. Not even fair.
He's a cheat code.
Bro's a cheat code. Yep.
He's a straight up cheat code. I mean, I think he rushed for over 100 yards and then threw for over 200. And he had here's his stat line: 218 yards passing with 107 rush yards, 4 touchdowns passing, and 1 rushing touchdown. So 5 total touchdowns. I mean, you can't freaking beat that. So he also, let's see, Greg had Jalen Hurts, who also had a good game. He put up 25.31. He had 340 yards for 3 touchdowns and 20 yards. I mean, Jalen Hurts has been surprisingly very good this season. So Well, throw
Jared,
that
I would
out
just
there.
like to say you put up 27.6, not 25.31.
Oh, I'm looking at the projection. I was looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, but yeah, he's putting up big points. Looks like I was wrong about the Eagles this year. I said they were going to be run first team, and they're passing the ball.
Definitely wrong. Definitely wrong.
Continuing with that matchup, I had Mark Andrews balled out for me, 28 points. He put up 89 yards and 2 touchdowns. So the connection there, the stack was working for me. And then disappointingly on my team, Justin Jefferson, first round pick this year, he put up 4.4. So I don't know if y'all watched the game, but Jeff Okudah had him locked down. It was terrible. So then we look at Greg's side. He had, pretty much everyone underperforming. Not great. Jamar Chase under projections.
Yeah, I can relate. I can relate to that one.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift under projections. Joe Mixon. So pretty well-handedly win for me. Puts me up to 2-1. Greg drops to 3-0. So we'll look at the next matchup then. We had Nick here, Double Gulp Cup versus Big Ben 610, taking the W, 129.9 to 126.4 in a nail biter, our game of the week. So Nick, if you want to talk about your lineup there, go ahead.
Yeah, so it was definitely scary when I saw Josh Allen go against the Dolphins. Definitely a hard one. Started off with -2 fantasy points because he lost that fumble in the first half, but he still threw for 400 yards, 2 touchdowns, so he brought me up to 26 right there. The big shocker for me was James Robinson puts up 20. I think he's the reason why I made up that 15-point comeback against Big Ben Sexton, and it's what pretty much made me win. And of course, the person who Jarrett keeps downing is Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the best player on my team.
Is not good. He's not good. I'm telling you.
He keeps saying that.
The production is not there.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Sustainable.
Projection's low.
He's bound to drop off. Isaiah Pacheco, it's happening.
So the guy who's not 3-0 keeps saying that, but
hey, I'm 2-1.
So yeah, that
pretty close.
Doesn't matter. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Definitely a close match. Definitely a nail biter right there. But in the end, I was successful and got it done.
I would like to just say too that James Robinson is a son of a bitch because he's taken all of ETN's carries that I drafted earlier this year just because the hype was big, and looks like they're going to Robinson over and over. So not fun for me.
Definitely not fun for you.
If we look at Cooper's side, his top performer looked to be Cordero Patterson, surprisingly. Cordero's been good this year, a lot better than a lot of people would have expected out of him. In that running back room, I think who did they have with them? They got that one Williams guy. He's hurt, so it gives Cordero a lot more options, and looks like it was a bad week for him for Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams. The Chargers defense put up -4 points. That didn't help.
That was also another big contributor in how I won and all that.
If the Chargers defense
also
showed up, he would have won.
Literally all that, -4 points was a big difference.
Yeah, and he took Christian McCaffrey first overall this year, and he went under projections. Even if he's not getting injured, you got to be disappointed. I wanted to avoid Christian McCaffrey this year because I figured he was going to get injured. He hasn't got injured yet, but his production hasn't been the same.
Just underperforming.
I would just like to say he is questionable with a thigh injury.
Oh, true. So
I think the biggest contributor was Tua. It was his injury was pretty bad. But also affected Cooper's team right there, putting up 11 fantasy points. But
yeah, that back
definitely
injury that they were supposed to take him out for, but he came back in.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Yeah, I think that was not.
But
right.
Yeah.
But
I don't think it was right either.
All right, so then we'll skedaddle on into the next matchup that we had. Judge Judy, Cameron over here, playing Watson's Massage Parlor, and Cameron won that game 142.28 to 77.36. Bryce did not have a good week. Just say that. So
Yeah,
if y'all
no,
wanna
not
discuss
at
that.
all there. Well, I'll tell you right where it all goes wrong, folks. So, started off, I screwed up, and I shouldn't have started Kyler Murray. I started Kyler Murray. He only got me 13 points. I should have started Aaron Rodgers. Jonathan Taylor, this is the first week he's got over 10 points, so I'm happy but angry about that. Kareem Hunt didn't do me anything, even though he had like a lot of points the other week. Deebo Samuel, just over 10 points. He had 12-9. Al Robinson, he's playing like hot garbage this year. I don't know if they're just not targeting him enough or there's some locker room drama going on, but he needs to pick his shit up. I also started Pat Freemuth instead of George Kittle because they didn't say that Kittle was going to play until after the Steelers game on Thursday. So that really screwed me over in the long run.
Yeah.
So I had to put Kittle in one of my flex spots along with Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones kind of shot me in the foot. He only had 5 points this week. Freemuth and Kittle both only had 6. And I had to use a backup kicker. I dropped and added that day, and the Saints defense didn't do me any wonders either.
Yeah.
All in all, underperforming by my team. I mean, it's god awful. I mean, I don't know.
I'd say god awful performing.
Yeah, how do you feel about Alvin Kamara this year? I mean, I haven't looked at the stats too much, but it doesn't look good today.
First week he hurt his ribs, so he got I think he got hurt in like the first or the second quarter or something. So he's out the rest of the game, and then week 2 he didn't play against Tampa Bay because of his ribs. Week 3 he just came back and he only got 7 points, but he was only limited to it looks like it's 70% of the snaps. So I think they used him in a few just to test him out. He's gonna do better now that he's coming back around because they say that he's fired up and angry and he's hungry, just like Jonathan Taylor. They're both ready to start firing all cylinders. I don't know what's going on with Jonathan Taylor, my number one draft bust. I called it from the start of the year.
He's interesting, I'll tell you that. I mean, everyone basically took him first overall in their leagues, and he's not playing like a first overall pick. I mean, I don't think the production was going to be the same as last year, but you would expected it to be in the same ballpark, and it just doesn't look like it.
I would at least expect it to be 15 plus, exactly. Minimum. Like it's just jaw dropping to me at how bad he's playing. I don't know what kind of bad juju he's got going on, but like he needs to figure his shit out. Exactly. I don't know.
At the end of the day, you just gotta look at the statistics. I mean, last year he had a great season, rookie campaign. No injuries in his career so far. I mean, you're buying him at his ceiling, pretty much. Lots of TDs, lots of yardage last year.
And yeah, I agree with you there.
You couldn't expect the same as last year, but you expect production.
Yeah, I really expected, obviously I don't expect him to throw out 40 points a game or whatever every single week, but, at least like 15 on a bad week, maybe 25 on like, a half week or something. Just something where it's like consistent points. Yeah, I need consistency, not one week you score a crap ton and then the next week you don't score me anything. It's not good. Not at all.
Well, if we look at Cameron's team, good week for Cameron, I will say. Looks like it. Your kicker put up 12. Wow. Young
Hoku, man. He's a GOAT.
Apparently.
Yeah, we kind of rallied the troops this week and put together a win. Yeah, you want to talk about somebody that's ready to be firing all cylinders. Derrick Henry.
That was definitely a surprising, like show right there. Like I was not expecting him to do as well as he did against the Raiders. But again, it is the Raiders. But putting up like 8 fantasy points for the first 2 weeks. I mean, I was expecting like the same production, but
I mean, everyone was kind of predicting his production to drop off this year. But he looked good last week. I mean, his first 2 weeks weren't great, but I think he's just got to get in the swing of things. And if I'm the Titans, I understand he's a little older now. He's getting to 28, and that's old for a running back. But it's King Henry now. The production should be there. He should be getting touches left and right.
I'd just like to add on one other thing about my team. I think if I would have started Tyler Boyd and who else was it? Tyler Boyd and another guy. Let me look real quick. Yeah, Marquise Brown. They both had over 25 points. I think that would have definitely helped bring the score dividend way down. Would have only been like 30 points instead of like, I don't even know what it is. It's god awful though. So that's all I want. I just want to end on that.
That's a fair point. All right, so that's going to take us into the last matchup of the week. 50 Shades of Trey, owned by Dalton, and taking on Nick's Chubb, owned by Dyson, and Dyson wins this one in a nail biter by a score of 140.4 to 138.52. So if we look at the projections here and the scores, we can see that Saquon Barkley had a good week for Dalton, just coming underneath though of what he needed. Saquon Barkley was playing Monday night, and if Saquon probably could have got, looks like maybe 20 more yards of carry or got 2 receptions, Dalton probably would have won this game. But
definitely one of the games I was watching really closely, and I was ready. I was actually doubting Nick Chubb, but at the end he won, and it's definitely a close match.
I will say for Dyson that Joe Burrow had a lot better of a week. 23 points. He went over projections. I mean, the first 2 weeks he did not look like the same Joe Burrow we saw in the playoffs last year.
No.
And he had Devonta Smith, though, go off for 30.9 points. We wouldn't really expect that out of Devonta Smith. I think that's kind of A.J. Brown's domicile, but good week for him. Looking at their benches.
A.J. Brown's domicile.
Oh, here's another killer for Dalton, is that he had Amari Cooper on the bench, who had 101 receiving yards and 1 touchdown for 23.1 points. I mean, that's a killer.
Definitely a killer.
That's disappointing. And Dyson had Devin. That's what it is. Devin Singletary. 24 points on the bench. I haven't watched a lot of Bills games this year, but I figured that was kind of a platoon backfield between him, James Cook, and Moss. So for Devin Singletary to get 24 points, that's impressive.
It's surprising, yeah.
Exactly. So that takes Dalton to 1-2, and Dyson moves up to 3-0 along with Nick. Then we will move right into the player of the week. So we'll go around and pick each of our player of the week. I mean, I'm just going to go out and say it. Yep. If you're not unanimously picking Lamar Jackson, I don't know what you're doing. I mean, he put up 40 points again, second week in a row. If you check the Instagram page, I had the statistics on there, the points. And he's just been good for me. And he kind of put the gap ahead for me in this matchup against Greg. Just considering most of my players either finished like near projection or they finished under projection. I think Lamar and Mark Andrews were my 2 standouts. So definitely got to give it to Lamar.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's a hard point to argue with.
He's not on my team, but I have to agree. Lamar Jackson definitely up there.
I'll give the honorable mention to Devonta Smith. I mean, he was pretty good too, but
not as
Lamar's just dominant
as a powerhouse as Lamar.
That's
2 weeks in a row.
Devonta Smith pretty good for a wide receiver too, I'd say.
Yeah, and you got A.J. Brown, so I'm sure you weren't happy about that.
I pulled out the win, so it doesn't really matter. But
that's true. I think A.J. Brown still
need more
projection. So
it's kind of like that wide receivers thing in Seattle too. You have DK, you have fucking Lockett, and it's just split. Really depends on the day.
That is true. May I add too that both of the receivers went over projection, and the Eagles absolutely millie rocked the Commanders, so wasn't really a close game at all. So that will play out in both your receivers going over projection. So can't go wrong with that. So I think that's going to wrap up Player of the Week. With that, we're going to move into the waiver wire pickups for week 4 ahead of us. And we just finished that up today. Actually, they processed this morning, so we'll get that up here and we'll take a look at each. So we have 5 new waiver claims that have been processed. We have Big Ben Sexton adding the Los Angeles Rams defense and dropping the Chargers defense. Back to the Future picking up the Packers defense and dropping the Chiefs defense. Double Gulp Cup adds Jared Goff and Tyler Higbee. And then...
Oh, he's gone now.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was going to get to that, but yes, surprisingly. Nick Chubb then adds Tyler Conklin and drops Gerald Everett. And then they also added the Eagles defense. And then after that today, Cameron went ahead and added Alexander Mattson and dropped Kirk Cousins. And then Double Gulp Cup, Nick over here dropped Jared Goff then and added Khalil Herbert. So then we have a couple of defensive moves with Cameron of Judge Judy adding the Giants defense and dropping the Atlanta Falcons defense. And then also 50 Shades of Trey added the Vikings defense and dropped the Bears defense. So I would like to talk about my Packers ad here because I saw there's 3 claims on it. I had it. 50 Shades of Trey and Judge Judy all had a claim on it. So I want to know what the motivation behind your claim was, Cameron, because I know what mine was.
Well, I mean, you're going up against the Patriots, and they're going to have a backup QB. Mac Jones is injured. Don't really have a backfield there. It's kind of a committee backfield. And then you go to week 6. You're playing the New York Jets. You go to week 7, Washington, and week 8, Buffalo. So when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking you can hold on to this defense until week 8, or week 7, I should say, and then drop them before week 8. That's what I was looking at there when I was
pretty much the same thinking I had. I mean, I was shopping around on Tuesday looking at the waiver wires, and I wanted a defense to replace the Chiefs defense I have, because they're playing Tampa Bay this week, and that's projected to be a high scoring game. So I was looking around and I looked at the Packers defense. They were projected for 12 points against New England, and I already know Mac Jones was hurt, and I was like, how do I not make a claim on this? So I think a lot of people in this league take the same approaches to defenses that I do, where they stream the defenses. So we're not going to consistently hold the same defense throughout the year, and we're just going to play matchups, which honestly is probably the better way to do it anyways. So
definitely smart fantasy football right there.
Yeah, that's advice for anyone in their own league to stream your defenses. Don't worry about keeping the defense.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, let's talk about this Jared Goff move with you, Nicholas, and why you added him on waiver wire and then you dropped him and then you picked up Khalil Herbert. I mean, I get the Khalil Herbert. I mean, he balled.
I'm going to be honest. So I had Josh Jacobs and Jared Judy. Didn't want to really cut them, so I was like, sorry, Jared. Gotta go. I'm pretty much going to so my plan is pick up a QB when Josh Allen goes on bye.
And I think even if David Montgomery does come back, Khalil Herbert will definitely get more carries with that performance he had last week. So can't go wrong with that.
I mean, I will say it was a good performance, but you are playing the Texans.
Yeah, that's true. Texans are a Mickey Mouse team, so.
But you also have the Giants, and it's the Giants. I don't care if they're 2-1 right now. They're still the New York Giants.
Yeah, so that's not wrong.
We'll see what happens.
So then Cameron, he added Alexander Mattson and dropped Kirk Cousins. I mean, I kind of get the Mattson move. Seems like Dalvin Cook might play, but they're not exactly sure. So,
and with me playing the owner of Dalvin Cook, I'm going to take the handcuff in that position.
Smart. Very smart fantasy football. I'll say that. So, just going over the rest of the moves here. I don't know if you want to make a comment on Higbee at all, Nick, but he made a pick for him.
Yeah, I don't think he's doing that bad. Definitely a good backup tight end. We'll kind of see where Zach Ertz goes. I bet you guys have some words about that trade, but yeah, definitely a good pickup.
Yeah, I mean, that trade was something else. I think we
That
should
was
briefly cover that. So you decided to give up Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, and a 5th-round pick for Zach Ertz. I
Yeah.
mean, what's the thought
it
process
was
behind that?
so the process, it was pretty much me and Dalton negotiating, and he's definitely a hard person to trade with, and
I can attest to that.
and what was it over? What was it necessary to put Darren Waller into that trade? It was definitely way too much. I definitely lost that trade, but like we're gonna have to see what happens with the Raiders, because they're kind of a mess right now.
Yeah, 0-3. Not a good start.
Definitely not a good start, but yeah, we'll see where Zach Ertz goes and see if
Yeah, so
we'll see what happens.
you went and decided to do that. We also had a couple other trades. Like, so Dalton got Darren Waller from you, and he immediately moved him to Cooper for Dallas Goedert and a 15th round pick. So, not a long time there. And then if we talk about the other trade that went on, Cameron, you traded.
I traded Russell Wilson for Kirk Cousins, Brandon Cooks, and a 13th round pick.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good haul.
For a backup quarterback, I'd say.
Well, yeah,
so.
you already got Pat Mahomes, so what is there to worry about? You know? So Kirk Cousins, I'm slight downgrade at QB, but actually Russell hasn't even been playing good this year. So might be an upgrade. And the 13th round pick, the draft capital, and Brandon Cooks is a solid wide receiver.
He's their most solid option, I would say.
Exactly. So then that'll take us into a look into week 4 and what the matchups we got going on here. This week's slate of games we have is Judge Judy, Cameron's team, predicted for 142.66 points right now, versus 50 Shades of Trey, who has a projection of 141.46 points. So, Cameron, what do you like in this matchup, and what do you think about your players going into this game?
I would have to say is Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce this week. This is going to be a gunfight. We know that already. They're playing Tampa Bay. I mean, Tampa Bay didn't look good last week, but they're going to put up numbers.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. I got to say, I do like this Derrick Henry matchup going into Indy. It just feels good for some reason. I feel like he's going to have a good game.
Well, and he's heating up. Week 3 looked good. And if he can keep it like that, I'm happy. Good first round pick then.
Exactly.
But only time will tell.
I suppose so. So looking at Dalton's team here, not really any standout matchups. I mean, I do like Tyreek Hill against Cincy Thursday, so tomorrow night he might have a big game. And then he's got Damian Pearson there starting. Saquon Barkley might tear up Chicago. We'll see about that.
I don't know. I feel that the Bears have a pretty good well, I wouldn't say pretty good, but they have a good for what they can do defense, like running defense. From what I saw at the last game, they didn't really run on them. Like they only passed, and I think that's where I feel like the Bears have a good defensive line for some oddball reason. They just are good at having a good defensive line. Like they have a good D-line coach somehow. I don't know. They don't. Teams don't like to run the ball on the Bears.
It's a fair point. All right. Well, then we'll take a look at the next matchup, which is Watson's Massage Parlor, projected for 132.53 points. Bryce's team taking on Nick's Chubb, projected for 136.15 points. Matchup of the ends of the spectrum here. We got 0-3 and 3-0, but Bryce, I feel like a bounce back week is in play for you here. I will say.
I actually believe in you in this one, because Joe Burrow's a definitely inconsistent person right now. But from what it looks like from your lineup, it definitely looks like that you could possibly get this one.
I'm hoping that I'm hoping that this is a big comeback week, not only for me but just like for my players, like Jonathan Taylor. He's playing Tennessee. I have a feeling that he's gonna have a pretty good game against Tennessee. Deebo Samuel played good last week. He's playing the Rams, and I have a good feeling with that. Tyler Boyd is playing Miami. Miami's defense played okay last week. I'd say that the matchup last week with Miami was okay, but I have a feeling that he's going to do a lot better this week. I feel like he's going to have a pretty consistent week. Now, I come down to George Kittle, and I'm still on the fence with him this year. I'm not going to lie, because he tore his groin up, so he's all complaining about his dick hurting, and now he's only putting me up like 6 points. And I really expected more out of him. He's still pretty young. I expect more. Aaron Jones, he had an off week last week. I know that he's going to do good if Aaron Rodgers, if we can't pass the ball on New England, we're going to run it right down their throats. So, and same with Alvin Kamara. He's playing Minnesota. That's just something I'm kind of floating around yet. But
and I'll tell you what, with two beasts in the backfield the Packers have with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, I'm surprised they don't run it down teams' throats more often.
Yeah, and I think they're going to either save that for late season or, work it in between and test it out as the season goes on.
Yeah. The wide receiver room is getting better. Romeo Doubs had a big game against the Buccaneers.
Big week last
8
week.
catches for 78 yards and a touchdown. And some of the other guys in there aren't doing too bad. Sammy Watkins and Christian Watson were hurt, but I do like what I saw from Sammy Watkins in week 2. But I feel like their main assets are their running backs, and they should go to them more often.
Yeah, no doubt.
I think the only downside about having Aaron Jones is the carry split between A.J. Dillon and him. But Aaron Jones, I think, is just a player who's a valuable asset, regardless of if he's splitting carries or not. Then we look at Dyson's lineup. Nothing really standing out there. He's got Nick Chubb versus Atlanta. He might have a big game then. I'm thinking he will. Jalen Waddle is questionable for Thursday night, so he'll be in play. It looks like he is dealing with a groin issue, so that's something to be beware of. Hopefully Dyson stays on top of that. He doesn't know if he's going to play or not. And Dyson not going to go with Tua because he's questionable.
If Tua plays this week, I'd be surprised. He looked like he
was hurt, man.
Kind of shaking paint and walking off the field, dude. It was just not working. It's just not walking right.
I feel like if I were Dyson right now too, he has Mike Evans on his bench. I would put him in a starting lineup. I'd probably take out Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel's been good actually. He's been over projections every week, but I feel like I like Mike Evans against the Chiefs. Young secondary for the Chiefs, and I don't know if they're necessarily going to be able to keep up with the veteran in Mike Evans. So that one will definitely be an interesting game. So we'll go into the next week, or not the next week, the next matchup, Double Gulp Cup, projected for 133.46 points, taking on Jordan's Nut, Greg's team. And he's projected for 139.14 points. So another game where we have a 3-0 versus an 0-3. Nick, what do you like about your team in this matchup?
I'm definitely excited for Cooper Kupp. That San Francisco defense is all right, but he's definitely a person I can always look up to. Josh Allen, Baltimore defense hasn't been doing pretty good. It's mostly their offense that's carrying the team. So definitely a lot of points right there.
I expect that to be a high scoring game.
Oh yeah, Drake London, he's been pretty good for me. Hopefully to see him do his magic against Cleveland, and
Well, looking at Greg's lineup, he's coming off of a very poor week where his team kind of crashed and burned. Hurts did good. I like him against Jacksonville. Chase versus Miami might be good, depending how Burrow plays. And he's got Swift and Mixon in there, who I heard Mixon was dealing with a little bit of injuries. It looks like he's good to go for Thursday night. It says here that he is cleared for Thursday night after his ankle injury, and then DeAndre Swift is questionable. And if you watched the Vikings and Minnesota game last Sunday, Jamal Williams took all of DeAndre Swift's carries. I mean, I love DeAndre Swift. I had in the last 2 years, and I've sent Greg like probably 2 or 3 trade offers for him, but Jamal Williams is a pest in that backfield. He's a pest. He's just taking carries and he takes touchdowns. So, and that's a similar situation to a lot of running backs in the league. I mean, once we get to my team, I can discuss the Javonte Williams situation, but I think that's a weary thing to be worried about if you're a fantasy owner. Same thing with Joe Mixon. Tried to trade for him from Greg, but Greg's not really willing to trade anyone on his team. So we'll see. It says that he's supposed to bounce back this week.
Sorry. If I'm Greg, I'm starting Mike Thomas this week. I'm Antonio Gibson. He is not getting a start for me this week.
No, I didn't like Gibson coming out of preseason, but he's been okay this year. But honestly, I'd probably go Mike Thomas. All right, so transferring into our last matchup and the game of the week, we have myself, Dak to the Future, 2-1, projected for 152.18 points at the time of this recording, taking on Cooper's team, Big Ben Sexton, who is also 2-1, loss. He has 145.97 points projected, and I think the NFL game of the week is going to be Ravens versus Buffalo. So we'll see how Lamar performs in that. I'm expecting a regression, but hopefully he can still play well. I mean, that Buffalo defense is stout. So
yeah, no, Jarrett, I really do think that that's going to be the game of the week. It's going to be one that everyone's going to be watching, not only just for like defenses, but it's really to see who has like better mentality going forward in the season. I'd say like for their receivers and their running backs, because who wants it more. That's what this week's going to come down to for that matchup.
Yeah, we're looking at a quarterback matchup that might be between 2 MVP frontrunners, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. I mean, I don't know if it's going to get better than that. So should be a very exciting game. Then I also have Javonte Williams against the Raiders, went under projections against the 49ers, and he played decent in that game, I thought, but Melvin Gordon got a touchdown carry, kind of stole one of those goal line carries, and they were doing more of a 50-50 split. So I think the potential for Javonte Williams is there. He just needs to kind of take it and run with it. So then Justin Jefferson playing in London versus the Sunday at 8:30 a.m. Central. I'm expecting a rebound game out of him. He got shut down by the Lions, like I was saying before. So first round draft pick, he definitely won a rebound game. Everyone else in my lineup, Garrett Wilson, I like him against the Steelers. We'll see how he does. And then Najee Harris, I mean, he's not been good for me this year. I'll just go out and say it. He's got the Jets, so we're hoping for a little bit more. I was telling everyone else, but last Thursday when they were playing the Browns, he was over projections for me. He was at like 15.5 or something. And then they did that stupid fucking last play of the game where they were pitching it back and forth. And unfortunately, Najee was the last one to have it. And he pitched it back and it got recovered in the end zone by the Browns so that he went under projections to 13.1. So,
dang.
Yeah, that's tough. Still waiting for the output there. I mean, he had a lot of volume last season. His volume's kind of decreased a little bit, but we're kind of hoping for a rebound there. So we'll see what we want to do with him. I might be open to trading him eventually down the road, but I'm going to have to take a look and kind of just sit back and wait. As for Cooper's lineup, I do like Justin Herbert at the Houston Texans. I feel like he's going to have a really good game there if he plays. I mean, he's questionable right now, but then going down the lineup, I think DK Metcalf could have a decent game against the Lions. I mean, he's not too bad. And Diggs against Baltimore. I mean, that's another big one. So we'll see about that. So going into these matchups, we're going to play a little game here where I want each of us to predict a winner for each matchup besides the one that you're in. So as for me, I'll start off first, and we can keep a record of this. So I can't predict the game of the week, my own matchup. So I'm going to go ahead and predict Double Golf Cup versus Jordan Snutt. And I'm going to go with Nick here. I think he's going to pull it out, even though Greg is projected for more points right now. I just feel like Nick's team has been playing well, and he's going to keep the ball rolling. So I'm expecting a W from him. And then as for Watson's Massage Parlor and Nick's Chubb, Dyson's been on a roll lately, but I think Bryce is going to get the rebound game here. I'm feeling it. I mean, it's due. And I like some of the matchups he's got. So we're going to go with Bryce for that one. And then as for Judge Judy versus 50 Shades of Trey, it's split pretty even. If I take a look at the lineups here again, I think I'm going to go with Cameron. I think Cameron's going to pull this one out. And I think he'll advance to 2-2 in a close one. So my predictions are for winners, Double Gulp Cup, Watson's Massage Parlor, and Judge Judy. So Nick, would you like to predict your matchups besides your own game?
Yeah, so I'll start off with Judge Judy and 50 Shades of Trey. Definitely a hard one right here, but I'm going to have to go with Judge Judy. I think Cameron's team is, especially with Derrick Henry on his lineup, I definitely think he's going to put up a lot of points. So I'm going to go with Judge Judy on there. Back to the Future and Big Ben Sexton. There's two people who are questionable, Justin Herbert and Christian McCaffrey. I don't think there's going to be a lot of production from both of them. Again, you have Lamar Jackson fucking just going off, so I think that's going to go to Back to the Future. Nick's Chubb and Watson's Massage Parlor. I believe in the underdog story, so I'm gonna go with Watson's Massage Parlor, just because I just like how it looks right now, and definitely could be something that Dyson should be watching out for when he goes against him.
Yeah, I'd say so. All right, Bryce, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to start off with Judge Judy and 50 Shades of Trey. Now, one thing that surprised me last week is Dalton didn't look like he was going to come back against Dyson, but all of a sudden, like you were saying about Saquon Barkley, he just came out of nowhere, you know? So I think I'm going to go against the grain on this one, and I think I'm going to go with Dalton just because of the comeback last week. I have a feeling that it might happen again this week. Just with some of the matchups I saw, I have a feeling it might just be a little – it's going to be a close one, but I feel like Dalton might just squeak it out just a fuzz.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Now on to your game, Jarrett. You and Cooper. I mean, this is definitely going to be a battle for the ages this week. Just looking at the lineups overall, I would probably have to go with Back to the Future just for the fact that Lamar's just been on a freight train lately. I mean, he's just been dumping points up left and right. Like he's getting the max tickets from Chuck E. Cheese. We'll put it that way. All right. We'll just put it out that way.
That's a good way to put it.
And last but not least, we are going down to Double Gulp Cup versus Jordan's Nut. Like you were saying, Jer, even though Greg's projected more points right now, I feel like Nick, not just because he cares more about the league, I feel like he's more involved in it. Nothing against Greg, but Greg tends to not check fantasy as much and not do as much as Nick does. So I'm going to give this one.
I agree.
Yeah, not to bash him at all. Great guy, but He just doesn't. He's
She's
not as
passion.
into it.
Don't worry about it.
So I'm gonna go with Nick on that one for sure because I feel like if anything, uh, he might, he might have some other people pop off that didn't pop off last week, and I feel like I'm a little questionable with the DeAndre Swift move by Greg right now because DeAndre Swift he did good, but I have a feeling that if he's already tweaked up a little bit, and it says he wasn't practicing today, so they might just keep him benched this week because it's a shoulder, they say, so they might want to let him rest up a week and go next week. And knowing Greg, he might not see that until the day of the game, so we'll just have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Cameron, what are your predictions?
All right, so I'm going to start with Double Gulp Cup versus Jordan's Nut here first. And I'm going to go with the dark horse here. Everybody's saying Greg's team's not going to perform this week or he's not going to check his lineups before. I say he checks his lineups before he changes some shit up before the start of the week. And he knocks Nick off his high horse. Pulls out that first win. Team shows
Nick
up for once.
I heard that.
Yeah.
All right. And then we're going over to Watson's Massage Parlor here versus Nick's Chubb. And it's looking like it's going to be a good matchup. I'm going to go with Watson's Massage Parlor here. I don't think anybody comes out of this week with a perfect record anymore. Last matchup of the week. Let's go Dak to the Future versus Big Ben Sexton Cooper. Lamar Jackson's been showing out. I don't know what the deal is with Herbert, if he's going to play or not this week. So that means you're up against Russell Wilson then. Russ just hasn't been performing. No, as a Broncos fan, I will tell you he is not going to cook.
I was a Seahawks fan, and
I'm gonna have to.
At least you're honest.
I'm gonna have to go with Dak to the future here.
Well, I'll say now that the expectations are high for me since everyone picked me, so prepare to be disappointed. But yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Since Cameron was talking about my team, Joe Chudy, terrible. I said Dalton's gonna win.
He's changing the prediction.
550.
Okay. Absolutely dissed.
All right.
Yeah. But
I think it's gonna be close. Definitely gonna be close.
Next week's show, then we can review these scores or review our predictions, and then we'll give everyone a point for the matchup they got correctly, and then we can keep track of this for however long the season runs. So I think with that pretty much wraps up our show here. Heading into week 4, it should be a very exciting week with all our matchups, and we're looking forward to Sunday. So we hope you'll join us next week for another episode of Hardcount Heroes Fantasy Football League podcast show, and make sure to follow us on IG. So we're posting like every day. Let me clarify. It's at Hardcount_Heroes for all your fantasy content. Yeah, we're posting like every day. I mean, post quality content. I'm working my ass off. Nick's working his ass off. We're here recording a podcast, so we're putting in that work. So if you like what you heard, share it, follow on whatever platform this is going on, and stay up with the league. We want you to be part of our community and be invested in our league. So looking to bring smiles to faces.
I'm gonna be 4-0, so we'll see you guys next week.
There you go.
It's a little bit cocky, Nick. I don't know.
As Nick's cocky word of the day.
Yep. Coming out, he's going to come out 4-0. I said I was going to come out 3-0 this season, but I'm 0-3. So I'm hoping I can come out at least 1-3. I just got to beat my total end goal, beat Greg for the season.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Well, anything's possible here. Hey, we're only on week 4 here. You can come back and win the league for all we know.
Yes, sir.
Well,
I've seen it
that's what
happen.
everybody says they're hoping for, and that's what I'm hoping for
seen it
too,
happen.
boys. I mean, it's all hope at this point. And I know it's only week 3, but it feels like week 13.
So once again, guys, that's going to wrap it up for us at Hardcount Heroes Fantasy Football. Make sure you like, follow, comment, and subscribe to our Spotify or YouTube, and check us out on Instagram at Hardcount_Heroes. And we'll see y'all next week. Peace.